First and foremost, Mr. Speaker, sir, I take this opportunity to support this motion by my friend Ferdinand Wanyonyi. This motion is timely because, as it is stated in Article 60 of the Constitution, there are a number of things which ought to have been done up to now from the time when this Constitution of ours was promulgated, the 2010 Constitution. Some legislations ought to have been done by this Parliament, at least to regulate of our land, tenure and land use in Kenya, ought to have been at least legislated upon. Mr. Speaker, sir, in Kenya, as it is now, we are facing hardship of lack of food. And this lack of food is not that we don't have land to cultivate. The problem we have, Mr. Speaker, sir, is land use. Whereby land which is fertile enough for production of food is lying idle. It's not in use because, Mr. Speaker, sir, the same land is being owned by people whom we call telephone farmers. Most of them are living in Nairobi, and they are not using that land for the benefit of Kenyans. My support of this motion, Mr. Speaker, sir, is that if you go to developed countries like Germany, Belgium, and those others in Europe and even parts of America, you'll find that there are tracts of land which are arable and they are being used for production of food. And then the public, citizens of the country, live in a well-programmed settlement, which settlement, Mr. Speaker, sir, has all the amenities which are necessary and which are required for human existence. You find in those settlements, there are shopping malls, there are places of residence. Those places of residence are supplied with electricity, sewage system, adequate water, and all the amenities which are necessary for a good human habitation. And then the rest of the land is commercially used to produce food commercially for the people of those countries in a way that the food will be enough for their consumption, and even they get extras to sell or even to export. And then they earn foreign currency out of that food which they sell from what they have produced. So my suggestion is that we should have that registration as it is supposed to be in Article 60 of the Constitution. And that registration, when it comes, because I tend to believe that there will be a bill following this motion in this Parliament, of which bill we are going to put regulations and other orders therein, of which is going to stipulate how we are going to be using that, to be using our land, and what size one is supposed to be owning, and if one has that big trunk of land which is not in use, what can he be paying the government so that the land cannot just be lying idle there, it's not commercially being used to benefit the Kenyans, and it's not earning the government any revenue. Because some of us, some even of the members of Parliament here, they have those pieces of land which are just lying idle because they have powers to purchase them. Go to Meru. You find large tracts of land all the way from Laikipia to the other side of Meru. That's Embu. And those big tracts of land are not in use. What is the government earning out of those big tracts of land? To traverse all the area up to Isero and the other side of Garissa, we have big tracts of land and they are owned by individuals. What is the government earning out of it? But the registration as it is in this motion, if things are put in a place, Mr. Speaker, sir, it's my belief that those pieces of land are going to be beneficial to the Kenyans because the tax paid for having those big trunks of land is going to benefit even the small man who does not have any other source of income in Kenya. Otherwise, there is what's supposed to be called land consolidation. We should move from the parochial idea of subdividing small pieces of land which cannot benefit anybody. Because even though it is said that the moment you subdivide these pieces of land, they give you incentives of how you are going to earn your earning through other methods, because you know that there is no land of which you can use for production. But that's not the case. We shouldn't be thinking out of the box. We shouldn't be thinking of how we can survive by consolidating these small pieces of land and making them arable, or making them how they can even be used by farming them through machinery or through machines, mechanized farming. And there is no way we can have small fragments of pieces of land and use mechanized farming in them. So we should come out in a way that we should have a modality law, whereby we will have a minimum, a piece of land which one should own, and the maximum which one should own, so that at least the extras can either be given back to the government or to those people who are able to utilize them for commercial gains of all Kenyans. So I thereby, Mr. Speaker, sir, support this motion by my colleague Ferdinand, because it is well thought of, and it is the right time that we should implement Article 60 and 68 of the Constitution to have the full force of law. Because within a very short time, Mr. Speaker, sir, I know, if it had happened sometimes back that maybe I succeeded, it meant that these sections could have been dealt away with, because we could have maybe discarded this Constitution. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I think that first, if we embark on implementing this Constitution, it's one of the best documents, and it has a solution of many problems which Kenyans have. I support the motion, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you.
The MP for Samburu County, the Honorable Pauline Lenguris. And members, we have barely 10 minutes to the end of the debate today, so if you could use even less, a fewer minutes, we would accommodate more.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity to contribute on the